Hello and welcome to Rauta's Vinyl Monday. This time I have a band from Lithuania to which I had very low expectations. And by low expectations I don't mean anything negative, just a kind of a come and go kind of a neutral thing. Not exactly bad, not exactly good, but you know, the kind of the bulk, the big mass that you just have these albums coming and going and not exactly being memorable or good. This one is Sisyphean with the second album, Colors of Fate. I really think that the camera here does no total justice to this cover and with its colors, because obviously in real life it's more vivid. And also you can get to see these light reflecting from these characters here. Not just the ones battling here against a kind of I guess it's called this DNA kind of a structure here. And the being there with kind of rainbow colors. I think this is called kind of a lacquer, you know, how this is done on the top of this, well, cardboard cover, vinyl cover. Anyway, it looks fantastic here. If I like, wow, these colors are fantastic, super cool, and I like the theme here. And I don't know if you know the story of Sisyphean, but basically it was this Greek king or ruler who kind of achieved death, became kind of immortal, and gods didn't like that story. So they gave this guy a rock, which he would, you know, push to the top of the mountain, and if he could do that, you know, well, he would be kind of relieved or whatever. But every time he would push that stone on the top of the mountain, he would just roll down back, and he would repeat it and repeat it. So there is a kind of a moral story of that in a way. Anyway, kind of fitting in a way, I guess, for this kind of stuff here. So anyway, this is released by Transcending Obscurity, an Indian label exactly, focused on extreme metal. And this one is black metal, despite the amount of colors that might be actually fooling you a little bit. Comes in a nice gatefold release. It was the band in question to actually sending this to me. It features lyrics here as the gatefold. If you need to check it out something, maybe you will pause and take screen cap. I don't know if they're readable, but then again, that's why you buy full albums. If you take a look here, nothing inside, and same goes here as well. So these are just the covers. There is no inlay, but the vinyl and those gatefold covers. And this one is, I guess, something that we call swirl instead of being a splatter, if I remember correctly. Anyway, this one has side 1 and, as a wordplay, side none. Nice looking vinyl, and more importantly, the music is actually good. So let's talk about that. Here is the metal archive site for the band in question, coming from Vilnius, Lithuania, and 2 albums out, being there for 10 years if you count the earlier version or iteration of the band Division. And when I was checking out the members list, this kind of gives me an idea. This is certain kind of side project. Not everyone is included in other active bands, but still there are older bands which are active. So I don't know whether or not this is a side project. It feels a little bit like that. Now that doesn't really matter. What matters is that if the music is good. And throughout these 40 minutes and then some, this delivers you kind of a modern take of black metal. And by modern take, I would say something that I usually call third wave of black metal. And now people are asking, like, what the hell is Jerry babbling about? Now, quick recap in case you have missed a lot of those. Well, 1980s, you have Bathory, Select, Frost, Venom, etc. That was the first wave. And the second wave pretty much started when the 1990s came with the Nordic bands and stuff like that. And since then, this second wave have been pretty much more alive than the first wave of black metal, you know, being with the all kind of Nordic bands, but also the Greek scene and etc. And a lot of bands don't seem want to evolve or progress from that, but just keep repeating what was happening already in the 90s or even early 2000s, as if that was the end point for black metal, no evolution or whatever. And then there are bands like Death Spell Omega and stuff like that, or lots of Icelandic bands that push the envelope to go further. Sometimes very cardish, sometimes going even post-metallic ways, post-black metallic ways that is. But sometimes also including elements which are not there to just kind of, you know, doing the kind of black metal that is essentially much like 1990s stuff, but adding layers or details which sound like a little bit off. But once you kind of get in, you kind of, okay, this is more like progressive or avant-garde black metal, but it still is black metal, both in terms of concepts and themes, but also musically. You have those kind of roots still underneath it all. And that's where Sisyphean comes into play with Colors of Fate. At the same time, it sounds much like these typical third wave blends. And I'll give you a little bit of idea what I mean here when I've opened the Similar Artists tab. You will find bands like Deadspell Omega, or Icelandic bands such as Sinmara, Svartidaudi, or Blue Dow's Nord. And actually, listening to later Blue Dow's Nord just recently, a few days ago before listening to this one, there are similarities, definitely. They are kind of avant-garde-ish, they're kind of very twisted and weird, and at the same time also very dark and ominous and all that stuff. So it's very, very black metallic in ways, but not like your typical 1990s album. This is not tapping to the veins of, say, Nordic bands, being Marduk or Mayhem or Immortal or anything like that. But more what bands like Deadspell Omega or Blue Dow's Nord or those Icelandic names are doing, but also still having its, own sound, if you will. And that, then again, becomes this full album, which is actually good. Now, where it lacks some kind of power is it could be more memorable. I know that a lot of people hate when I say catchiness, but that is essentially the kind of the same thing. I mean, we all know why we like certain kind of classic heavy metal bands, be it Judas Priest or Iron Maiden or Manowar. Doesn't really matter. We know what is the kind of catchy part, like, yeah, now comes the chorus part, or this is the killer riff, or even a killer guitar solo. And that's the kind of downside of Colors of Fate. It doesn't really have those parts where, like, yes, now this comes to serve. This is more avant-garde. It's almost like, okay, you go to a museum of modern arts. If you don't like those colorful squares and triangles or whatever weird it might be, maybe this kind of avant-garde thing isn't just your cup of tea. You kind of have to go beyond the more conservative stuff. That is two ways. You either go for the future, more modern style and abandon the old conservative arts, or then you just tap into the conservative stuff. But, goes beyond the scope of this video. Anyway, I'm trying to say Sisyphean sounds strong and interesting because it isn't afraid of kicking down doors and boundaries and going all over the fences. And at the same time, it doesn't sound like it's some kind of a weird-ass art project. It is modern and, yes, a little bit avant-garde-ish, but at the same time, it maintains the atmosphere of, kind of a classic black metal, even though it's very, very modern. Sound-wise, good. Vocals, good. But nothing out of ordinary in, terms like, okay, it's not great. It's just good, if you get my idea and feeling. So all over, again, this is a good album, but it could be a lot better in terms of being more memorable, having those kind of catchy parts. Then again, I also realize when I say catchy parts, they're almost like in contradiction with kind of idea of avant-garde-ish approach. But people who like bands like Deadspell Omega, for example, being one of the torchbearers of this avant-garde-ish black metal, might find Sisyphean very, very likable. So in my opinion, you should definitely give this one a go and give it a chance. Interesting band for sure, and this LP version looks fantastic if you're a vinyl addict. So there it is. Give it a chance. You will find links provided in the description box. Check it out, and I hope you like it. Take care and see you soon.